Okay, so we are going to discuss briefly different ways that you can use Asana to manage your own business, but also manage projects within your clients' businesses. Now, I did mention that you need to pick a project management system for your business that you are going to utilize to manage what you're doing. However, when you work with a client, most likely, unless they're brand new, they're going to have their own project management system in place. And so that's when you're going to really utilize whatever it is they're using. Now, if it is a project management system you've never used before, because there's a handful out there. Just Google it and learn kind of how you create these different projects or tasks and whatnot. I'm going to go over Asana. However, like most project management systems are all the same. Their layout is a little different. Visually, they're different, but behind the scenes, like what you need to know is always going to be the same within the project management, best practices. So I'll go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, so I created this account and basically Asana is a free platform to sign up for. Like all of these platforms, you can pay for different levels once you get to the agency model. Yes, you're going to want to have a paid subscription to a project management system. Just because of some of the abilities you have there, you can make tasks dependent on other tasks being done, and it helps you manage a larger team. When it's just your business, you are completely fine. Now, all of these systems do, at least all the systems I worked with, do have a app available. I don't love Asana's app as much. I don't love Monday's app as much. Trello does have a great app, but most of these systems work best on desktop. It's just easier to see it. It's easier to understand where things are coming from and make edits. So I encourage you to use a desktop version of these. Okay, so when you come in here, on the left-hand side, you'll see this menu. So your home, we don't have any tasks created right now, but normally what it's going to do is it's going to let you know things that are upcoming. So what is due this week? Okay, overdue. We don't want anything over here, but sometimes, there's a bottleneck and things do get pushed to the next week, but it's going to let you know, like, hey, like you need to be working on these, or like at least be checking in to see like whatever that bottleneck, see if it's been removed so that you can complete your task. And then you're going to be able to see like all the great work you've done, everything you've completed. It's always nice to know like how much we've actually put in, right? Here we can go and see my tasks. And so I really like this view because I can see like what's recently been added. So if it's a client, if it's their board and they might have an OBM who is assigning you things, it's going to pop up here. So I can be like, oh, that's a new one, like, and go check out what's there. To do today. And so that's going to let me know like these things are due today. And if ideally we're getting things done before the due date, but some things you can't. Some things are like, go engage on this today. And so that is a task that you would be doing the day of. So that lets me know everything I need to accomplish today, what's coming up next week, and what, is further down the road. So this, some things I can get ahead on. I can see like next week I have these tasks, but I have capacity this week to at least start on them, or, be a little bit proactive. Or I also might be able to look at a task and say, I don't have the information. I don't have the login for this or the password or whatever it is. And then I can reach out to whoever and say, hey, like, I am going to be working on this next week. I don't have access. Can you help me get that? And it's going to show them that you are on top of things, that you're being proactive, and you're thinking through the work that you do and utilizing your time in the best way. Here, once I have, this is just a different view. Once I have things, I can kind of look at them in a list, or if you want to do a calendar, this is great too, because it's going to add all your tasks based on the due date here. So it's a great visual to kind of like plan out your week and just, know what you have coming up and what you're doing. Inbox is just going to be a notification place. So if someone tags you or asks a question, whatnot, it's going to show up here. Okay, so let's go back to home and we're going to create a project. Now, you have option. You can just create a blank project. And if it's just a simple to-do list, that's fine. There's lots of templates you can use. And so you can use this for like an agenda. I use Monday for all my agendas just because will go ahead and show you here. So we'll just say one-on-one, we'll leave it. So, oops, we have the wrong one. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and create this. You do have to have your team set up, and I can share with you how to do that in a minute here. You can make it public to your team or private to you. If it's just you, it's fine because you can share it with someone. We'll go ahead and make it a team project here. It takes a minute to populate. So what you're going to do is just create the agenda. So whatever it is you're going to be discussing with your client, you would put here. One thing I like to do is I will create a few of these so that as things come up throughout the week, I'm like, oh, like we really need to discuss that February promo. And that way, once we get to the meeting, I'm not confused. I'm like, oh, what was that I was going to talk to her about? Like, and it's going to help your client realize like you're being proactive, you know what's going on in their business, and everything is being covered. Now, not everything needs to be covered in a meeting. Some things just need to be communicated in your communication channel. But there are bigger tasks or, projects and bottlenecks that do need to be put on here. So throughout your week, just start building out that agenda. And most likely this is probably like a monthly meeting or maybe a bi-weekly meeting. In the beginning, you might be meeting weekly, but we don't really need to meet with our clients weekly long term. It's just that's a lot of time to be spending on Zoom, and meetings usually aren't super productive. So here's where I'm going to do my agenda. Now, the reason I like having agendas within your project management system is as you are having this meeting, we have action items, okay? And you're going to edit this professional development if that might not have anything to do with your client. So we might delete that. We might delete our updates and just have our agenda items and our action items. That's usually what I do. So as I'm meeting, so now I know we need to, create marketing campaign, 5 emails to past clients. I just take notes here of things that we say we're going to do, whether I say I'm going to do it or someone on the team says they're going to do it, it goes into action items. Now, the one thing here that's really cool is, okay, let's say I'm in charge of this. I'm going to go ahead and assign myself, and I'm going to say, I agree to get this done by next Thursday. Okay. It's in there. I don't have to think about, okay, like what was everything covered in that meeting? Anything that is discussed during this meeting. So I have this board up live on my call with a client, and I'm immediately putting things in here. And as you grow a team, this is big too, because you're going to be putting things in here and assigning your team. And that way, nothing slips through the cracks. Okay. Everything that is discussed as getting done, even if it's like something simple, hey, can you check that? And you're like, oh yeah, I'll definitely check that. How many times do people say they're just going to do something, like even if it's super tedious and simple, they say they're going to do it, but they forget. And it's because it's not put in the system that has accountability. So I want everything to go on these boards. Okay. So that's an example of just, how I use this for meetings. And then let's just go use we'll make our own project. So we're just going to have a simple like client number 1 to-do list. Now, if your client is not using a project management system, I encourage you to discuss the implementation of one with them, or you can create a board and invite them to the board so they can see, their business, but it's within your board. If you are doing project management, you are starting to cross that blurry line of becoming an OBM. And so, which is great. And it's a fine thing to do. You're just going to have to consider that when you start talking about rate increases, because this level of work is definitely a higher rate, but we can start helping our clients organize their business because we're building that bridge to that next step. So for this to-do list, you can decide kind of like what format you like. there's the actual, just the list, or if you like more of the board, so it's kind of almost like, post-it notes, that's fine. If you like the calendar view where it shows you the calendar and what's due on each date, that's great as well. Anything that has this little ribbon is going to be the paid plan, so just don't click that. We're going to go ahead and just create a list. We're going to start adding tasks. So here is just a basic board. You can add different sections. So maybe I'm going to say, like, maybe there's different things I do for this client. So maybe I do customer service. Maybe I do, we'll just say like calendar management. We're actually going to call this client success. Okay, so here are the different buckets that I'm going to create for what I provide for this client. Now I can say client success. Maybe I need to check in with clients who are nearing their expiration date. I don't know, but there just might be things that I need to make sure that I'm doing to, be successful in this area. Maybe every Monday, double check Lily's calendar, send update email. So maybe this is, I am checking my CEO's calendar, making sure there's nothing that's conflicting. And then I'm going to send her an email with everything she has this week. So one thing as a VA, if you are doing any kind of calendar schedule management, is you do need to be checking their calendar often. And it really depends on how busy they are. So you might get away with checking it every Monday. Ideally, you probably check it daily. And especially if they are the type of person who they're letting you manage it, but then they just add random like friend stuff. And you just need to be in there. You'll get to know like how often you need to check your CEO's calendar if it's something you're providing. But always look for conflicting events, because you want to be proactive. And, as you get to know them, you'll know like if you're able to then just talk to whoever and be like, hey, can we reschedule this? There's a conflict. And then you'll also know like which one's a priority for them. In the beginning, I would just communicate with them, be like, hey, there's a conflict on your calendar. Would you like me to do this? And then provide the solution that you think, and they can let you know what they actually want you to do. And that's how you're going to start learning their preferences within their calendar with who they meet with. So I might just say that I'm going to do this every Monday. Now, if this is something I want to do every Monday, I'm going to set this to repeat. So I'm going to say every Monday, I'm going to do this. Okay. Now, next Monday, this task is going to show up again. So this Monday, if I do it, I click done. Woohoo, I did it. Now I don't have to worry about it because now there it is, and it's due next Monday. Okay, so if you know that you have reoccurring tasks for your client, put them in your board, because this is going to help you stay on top of your work. When we allow these systems to take this pressure off ourselves, our work becomes really simple, because our biggest thing is to make sure we put things in here and we log in here every day to see what's due, what's coming up, and just stay on top of it. It's a great way to make your client know that you know what you're doing, okay? So at the top here, you have your overview, you have your board. So this is the different view. If you kind of like this view, it's very similar to Trello. If you want your, let's see, that one's a paid one. So calendar, I can see that, okay, Monday here. Once I click down here, it's going to pop up here. I can see what I have coming up for the week. I think workflow is probably paid as well. So really, you just have your list and you have your calendar view that you can check on if that works for you. Now, if over here in your little icon, if you do more, this is where you're going to create that team. So you can call it whatever you want, and that is what you're going to need to do in order to create these boards. And it can just be your business name. It could just be your name. Yeah, so let's just say I say Ray. create new team. Okay. And basically this is just showing Asana like who has access to the boards that you create within that. It's pretty straightforward. So now that I have some tasks here, I can see the projects. So the project is like, the overall thing. So that could be your client, or it could be a launch, or it's the very high level project. And then everything within it could be smaller projects that have to do with that larger project, or like I showed you, the one-on-one meeting agenda that I highly recommend you do. It's also going to help you be the driver of those meetings. And we always want to, we're a business owner. We want to drive these meetings. We don't just want to be a participant. Okay. So now I can see my upcoming tasks based on any projects that are over here. It shows everything I need to do. If I had any overdue things, that show up here. And now I can see the things that I've done. So I completed that calendar assignment. I can also go to my tasks now, see the list, and this is going to show all tasks that are assigned to me. So make sure you're assigning things, like that little profile button. You need to click and assign yourself, because it's going to show up here, and it's going to show everything. So if you have different client boards, it'll show all your tasks for all your clients. And if you have a board in here for your business, it's going to show the tasks for that business as well, which is great because you just kind of see everything in one place. And you can look at your calendar and see, like, are you scheduling things in a way that is balanced? Are you putting way too much that's due on Monday and Tuesday? Do you need to move some of your stuff throughout the week just so that you have that work-life balance, right? And so these tools are huge in business. It's a great way for you to manage your client work, but also your own. So project management is in my background. If you guys have any questions about how to utilize this more, or you run into issues, let me know. My main experience is in Asana and Monday, and Trello. So if it's a different one, I'm happy to help you explore that, but I might not know all the answers with those platforms. So go ahead and whichever project management system that you have decided to use for your business, I do want you to create your first project or your first board for your own business in there. So have fun with that and play around and just enjoy the simplicity that this is going to bring to your business.